Good morning, everybody. How y'all doing out there in YouTube land? We've got Turtle Dust in first. Jeff Killian, Jack Pines, what up? Transcendental Artist Studios, Bortagov, First Degree Forge. How do? How do? Ain't seen you in a hot minute. Hope everybody's staying cool. It's been a hot couple of weeks and a lot of storms. Holy crap, a lot of storms. Um, not to talk about the weather for lack of any other topics, but our storm's been in this area so bad. Last or yesterday, I had I woke up, was watching a YouTube video during my coffee. It started buffering, and I'm like, man, let me switch around. Nothing else would load. I looked, no internet, and I had no internet all day. I just, yeah, it was like, what the hell? But yeah, the past 2 weeks it's been triple digits here. Um, Crazy. So I hope everybody's been hydrating and keeping chill and playing it safe. I suppose we move on to how was your Fortnite? And I don't mean that shooting game. That means two
Yeah, so
weeks. How was your 2 weeks?
I'm glad you clarified that. I don't think
Yeah.
I was gonna pick that. Yeah, my 2 weeks was pretty damn good. I mean, had the 16th and 17th was quote unquote Prime Day, and I took the opportunity to pick up a three jaw chuck for my lathe, and I got a new TV for my computer here
Yeah.
because the one I did have was an older one, probably a first gen LED TV. Didn't have a remote for it. The speakers were blown out in it, and so I got a 32-inch Amazon Fire TV for $74, and my delivery options were July 25th on whatever, or I could pick it up in 3 hours at Best Buy. And I was like, oh, I can pick it up at Best Buy then. And that's what I did. And man, this thing is like the old TV wasn't even Wi-Fi compatible or even LAN compatible. I mean, it was, it didn't have internet capability. It wasn't a smart TV. And this one here, I mean, like I log into all of my streaming services or whatever, and it's like they're all, I don't have to log into I don't have to like go to the streaming service to watch whatever I'm watching. Like all of the shows that I'm watching in each of them is like up on my home screen. It's like, oh, do you want to continue watching this in Max? Oh, do you want to continue watching this in Netflix or Hulu or Freebie or whatever? That's pretty neat that I don't have to like go to each one and go, all right, wait, where was the good doctor at? Oh yeah, Hulu, and then go to Hulu and find it. No, it's just right there on the home screen, whatever. So that's pretty neat. And I got to say, this one here is this TV is a whole man. It's an upgrade. I tell you what, I should have done this a long time ago. So there's that, and I only worked one day this week. It was a 32-hour day, which is enough to pay the bills. So one day on, 6 days off. Yeah, there's that. I mean,
I wish I
there
could
is
work
something.
that much.
There's something to be said about doing your entire week in one shift and then just having the rest of the week off. I mean, it is kind of nice. That sucks when when that one shift is an 8-hour shift. But I mean, hey, when it's 32 or 40 hours straight, that's the whole week right there. I don't have to go back to work. So that was nice. Let's see. Oh yeah, like I mean, we'd mentioned in pre-show that like last 2 weeks ago, we got off the stream, and I mean, like you guys don't even know. I mean, like me and Adam were on this call, the like after show for 5 hours. Yeah, we got off the call at 4:30 my time in the afternoon, and I was just like, and we had a blast. I mean, we were just talking about history and probable futures and just all kinds of different aspects of different stuff, and it was fascinating. It was fun. I had a good time. I probably kept Adam up way too long, but hey, he's a big boy. He can handle it. Um, you know, oh yeah, I also I had this spare room air conditioner sitting in the back of my pickup. It's been sitting on top of the air conditioner that's in my my donut carton on the out, the back side of the air conditioner is outside the donut carton, and this one was sitting on top of that, not doing anything, just sitting there. And I thought, I put it in the back of my pickup, and I waited around. I went and got some styrofoam board from Walmart and one of them dryer hoses, and I just basically built this little box that goes over the output air, hooked up the dryer hose to it, and stuck it in the window of my pickup. And so that, like, because I mean, it's hot as shit out here from time to time. So, well, not from time to time. Time to time is from April till November, but. Yeah, so if I can go out there and, like, if I'm gonna go to town in an hour or something like that, I can just go plug that thing in, put that thing in the window, plug it in, and it does a really good job of cooling off the inside of the pickup before I get in there and fire it up, because it gets hot enough that the air conditioner will never cool off the inside of the truck. Like it won't keep up. It won't catch up, so to speak. And so if I cool the inside of the truck first, and I found this in practice. So like I've had this habit of I won't go to town unless it's early in the morning or late at night, because it's just too damn hot in the middle of the day, and my air conditioner will never cool off, and I'll just be sweating all the way to town and all the way back, and it just sucks. And I've found over the last couple weeks or week or whatever that if I pre-chill the truck sitting under the carport for about an hour or so, and then unplug it, throw that back in the back of the hose and stuff back in the back of the pickup, fire it up, turn on the air conditioner, it cools right off, right, just real quick. The air conditioner is blowing cold air, and I can drive all the way to Odessa, which is about a 30-45 minute drive in the middle of the day, and it stays cool the whole time. It never starts blowing warm air. It never starts warming up, and that that is a huge quality of life difference right there. I'm telling you. So that was, and then Duncan got on I posted a picture of it on social media, and Duncan was like, "Hey, you got to be pulling in the inside air as well. Run it to the other side. The other side, the window doesn't open, so that's not really an option." But it turns out it's really unnecessary. I mean, it just needs a little bit of cool air so that it's not 145 degrees when I go start the truck and on the inside. And man, that's working great. It was a great idea. I think it was a great idea anyways. I mean, I'm not going to be redneck enough to hook it up to a generator and have it running while I'm going down the road or anything. I mean, that's that's a little unnecessary, you know. Um, the big pink circle with the stuff on it is enough of a red flag when I'm driving around town. Don't need the air conditioner as well. So yeah, that's been my exciting 2 weeks. Been playing a lot of Minecraft Realism Craft, reorganizing some stuff on my computer, cleaning out my Google Photos. Oh my gosh, my Google storage was full. 15 gigs, right? So I went through and because it automatically backs stuff up. Like, so if I shoot a little bit of video, like some B-roll, or I do some shots to make a video, and then I wind up never making the video, all of those little clips and everything get uploaded to the cloud, and then I forget about them. I delete them on my phone or whatever, but they're still on the cloud. I went through and deleted all those old videos, never going to use, all those clips I was never going to use, all the photos that I just took a picture to upload to Facebook or upload to Instagram or something like that. I don't need anymore because it's on social media. I deleted all that stuff, and I wound up deleting 12 gigs worth of stuff out of my Google Photos. It took me probably about 3 hours to go through it all, and yeah. So that was fun. Other than that, that's my fortnight. Adam, how was your fortnight?
My fortnight was, well, first fortnight, first part of the fortnight, of course, I worked, which was a little bit of a pain because they were messing with our shifts because of the Euro finals. For those of you that don't follow soccer, that was the international, the real World Cup, the real World Championship.
Right.
So that was the first part, and the second part of this whole fortnight, I've basically been dealing with two things: one, trying to get finance sorted for my tractor, and two, trying to get so in the state in which I live, or the territory which I live in Australia, they're trying to change the mining laws and give the mining department more power. And I was requested by a few people to have a look into the proposed changes because of my background in law, and I looked into it, and some of the inconsistencies were just like, hang on, whoa up, we're giving this department way too much power here. And in example of that, so I'm not sure what you guys call it in the US, but there is a type of land here in Australia which is called Crown land. So it's the land that basically belongs to the government.
Call it federal
that
land
belongs to
here.
the Crown. Yeah. So in Australia, governments have the right to lease out that land for up to 100 years for various reasons, and it's managed by a certain government department. Well, the mines department, there are certain leases that the mines department back in the day granted, and they that were on Crown land, but they've changed the law, and those pieces of land no longer come under the purview of the mining department, and the government the government's trying to change the law so that the mining department can now cancel Crown land leases, which according to the law is only supposed to apply to certain leases that are in mining areas. However, giving the government the ability to cancel Crown land leases, existing Crown land leases, is just a flat out bad idea, because it means they could basically turn around to anyone with a Crown land lease, whether that's for grazing or whatever, and go, well, too bad, so sad. We're cancelling your lease to get to the minerals underneath. So at the end of the day, like I said, I was asked to look into it. I read through it, come up with a few things, and basically told the people that were interested, hey, this is why it's a bad idea. Make it write your rebuttal or a counter proposal according to that. So I haven't actually done much smithing this week. However, on task for what you said about fortnightly being too weekly, and I was actually having this discussion with another party, okay, in the sense, and it's actually been going around on socials and everything lately. What does bi-weekly mean? Does it mean twice a week, or does it mean once every 2 weeks?
Bi-weekly.
Means every 2 weeks.
Does it?
Yes.
But see, a lot of people think it means twice in 1 week.
It's twice in 1 week, because bi-monthly is twice in a month.
Right.
Biannually.
So this is where fortnightly comes. It works, because if you say fortnightly, it means once a fortnight, right? Bi-weekly, 2 times a week. Weekly, bi-monthly, twice a month. So use fortnight. You can then actually differentiate those terms of time levels. So no.
No. The meaning of bi-weekly is occurring every 2 weeks.
And that depends on the definition. There's also another one
whereas bi-monthly is twice in a month.
Yeah, bi-weekly means every 2 weeks, but I can understand how people might misinterpret that as meaning twice a week. So,
and then you could also and that comes to, are you if you think of a timeline, say you have a 3:00 appointment, right, and you get called and say, okay, it's just to let you know your appointment's been moved forward 2 hours. Right? Does that mean it's been moved back to 5:00, or does it mean it's been moved? So you got 3:00 appointment and it's been moved forward 2 hours. Does it go back? Does it go to 5:00, or does it go to
Okay, no, bi-weekly and
1
bi-monthly
o'clock.
can both mean twice a week or twice a month, or every other week or every other month at the same time. It could mean both.
Yep.
Really?
And
Yeah.
that's the reason. That's the reason why fortnightly is such a useful term, because you can go,
Or
okay,
2
bi-weekly.
weeks.
Hmm?
Or 2 weeks.
Fortnightly is a useful term.
We're just going to call this the bi-weekly fortnight. Maybe we'll get a bunch of
That's
gamers
even
in
more
here
confusing.
watching. Yeah, bi-weekly Fortnite edition. Bi-weekly, bi-monthly, fortnightly. Every other week we come to you bi-weekly, fortnightly.
So yeah. But yeah, so that's basically been my week. I've been knees deep in legislation, and of course, with the whole tractor finance, it was approved Friday,
Cool.
but I didn't get but I haven't got the paperwork yet. because when they were doing the paperwork, that whole Microsoft issue shut everything down.
Oh, damn it.
Oh, that
So I've been
Microsoft
sitting on,
issue.
yeah. So I was sitting on my thumbs all waiting for the approval on the paperwork, and then I got on Friday morning. I got, you're approved. We're just waiting for the paperwork, and then I heard about that Microsoft issue, and nothing's happened since. So it was kind of like, oh, okay.
I feel like a lot of places
So it
use
might
that
be.
as an excuse.
That may be the case, but at the end of the day, you know, it's not going to go any faster, is it? So tis what it is. I was going to say something that our good friend Josh Brown says, but it's a little bit inappropriate. So yeah, but other than that, I had my goddaughter out on this weekend, and we were making some we did some crafting stuff, just to get some of the things up for stock. So I made some, as some people may know, I'm a practicing pagan, so made up some magical talismans for sale, because she's also interested in that type of thing. Go ahead, Alexis. I was waiting.
Do you ever get to a point where you don't have to practice and you're just that good at it?
Well,
Yes,
ask
that's me.
your doctor.
That's me.
Ask your doctor.
I
when people
don't
ask me that,
practice
I
it
turn around and go,
anymore because I mastered it.
I'm always practicing. But yeah, no, I always turn around and say, ask your doctor, because they're always practicing too. It's why a good doctor's so hard to find. They've been practicing for 20 years. All right, when are you actually going to do the real thing?
They're too busy practicing medicine to actually do it, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Like, here, I'm a practicing physician. I just, imagine them sitting in their basement, like practicing being a physician. Maybe one day I'll actually get to do it.
Playing the game Operation.
One of the few professions where you get paid to practice but not actually do. I was gonna say it's really like being a doctor or something like that is really, and this is a military joke, and I mean it completely jokingly to everyone that is an active or previous member, right? But it's like being in the military. You get paid to practice, and you're hoping that you never actually have to go and do.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah.
I will say though, I mean, like if you think about it, like my general practitioner, my GP, he comes in, and it's like, yeah, he looks at the computer screen, reads it all off, and he's in and out, and probably, I mean, he'll take as long as he needs, but I mean, it's typically like 10-15 minutes, no more than that. And then and then he does this all day every day, and it's like he probably sees in a year, like, I don't know, what, probably 20 people a day. So what's that, 5,000, maybe 5,000 people a year, just him, and I mean, it's like, man, that is a lot of, in my opinion, that's a lot of workload. You know, I mean, so I was just figuring that up the other day, and I just thought about it because I had a colonoscopy last Monday or whatever. You know, all good. Got to do it again in 5 years though. I don't understand why people have a problem with that. It was easy peasy lemon squeezy. I think the worst part was the prep, and you know, whatever.
It's the stigma. I mean, it really helps if you practice. Speaking of practicing.
Right? Oh man, I got jokes. I'm not gonna. I'm not here. I like the joke.
I got a baroscope.
Yeah, no. What is it like? Okay, so like last night was I had or yesterday I had my injection, my weekly injection, and I hit a freaking nerve. And I mean, like as soon as like it burned so bad, and I'm walking around all night going, ah, man, I don't know how you ladies do this. My butt hurts. And I'm just
lost your
I'm
video.
literally.
Yeah, I can see that. I might have to restart it.
Well, it was still on my end, but all right. Yeah, but and I'm just laughing to myself about butt jokes, you know, and it's just like, yeah, I'm not even telling anybody. It's just like I got all these all these butt jokes, and I'm just like laughing at them myself, and it's like that's such a waste.
Yeah, I spent all of the end of day Friday and all day yesterday laughing at my own jokes. Just sitting on my couch giggling.
Oh, Jeff. Oh, that's horrible. In the middle of prep, and then the power goes off, and you got no water. That would suck. And you know what's funny is I was at home for this, and I warned everybody. I was like, "Look, I got to drink this at 4:00. If anybody needs to go to the bathroom, you better do it now because I'm going to be living in there for the next 6 hours." You know, and I get to a point where I come outside, and my daughter's like, "Oh, thank God, I've been eating in there for like an hour." And I'm like, "Oh, all you had to do is knock on the door and let me know."
Butt jokes is all we have, Ben. I know. I'm sure Ben is used to butt jokes because, like, you know, he's face level with everybody's butt.
That's probably why he's sick of them.
Oh, Benny Boo Boo.
But yeah, so back on my fortnight to actually round it out.
Sorry.
No, you're right. It helps stretch it out a bit. The only other thing I'm doing is what I always do, and yeah, what I always do, and try to take over the world. No, that's right. Just working on my book.
Oh shit!
Okay, calm down. Okay, you just been working on your book.
Face, yes, your book. Tell us about your book. Face.
You know, just been doing a little bit more work on my book. It's I'm not even through the first set of information I've got yet. It is, and I'm starting to get more and more. My best friend Lee is teasing about my book at the moment because it's kind of like he turned around and goes, it's one of them projects you said you're going to finish it this year, it's not going to be finished for 5 years. And so it's kind of like, yeah, I really need to pull my finger out a bit more and really knuckle down, but that's the challenge of it, just getting it done. People who think writing a book is easy are delusional. It takes a ridiculous amount of work, and then you've got, and it's not only the ridiculous amount of work, it's getting the motivation to actually sit down and do it, because spending hours at a computer, for those of you who don't spend hours at a computer, is a really freaking tough thing to do when it's entertaining, but it's draining. It is ridiculously draining. So that's all my news. That's everything that's been going on with me for the last fortnight. So, yeah.
Yep, just gotta go knuckles down and get it done.
Knuckles deep.
Knuckles deep. Pull your finger out. Pull your finger out
That's
and
it.
knuckle down. I mean, it's all part of the practice, you know.
Yep.
It's when you're studying for your colonoscopy.
Exactly. I don't have a laptop for that though.
Oh, you don't need a laptop to study for your colonoscopy. Yard ornaments. One of them. Some of
There
the
are.
flamingo things.
There are people out there that need to study for a colonoscopy.
Oh my God, Ben, what are you doing?
Guten Tag, Jürgen.
So yeah. So anyway, what are we going to talk about this week, ladies and gentlemen? We kind of deliberately come into this today's episode without any particular direction, simply because it's been.
We could talk about the elephant in the room.
I don't want to refer to me that way.
Everybody gets real nervous. No, I'm obviously gaining. I've gained about 100 pounds.
Have you?
No, I mean maybe.
You're looking healthy.
No,
I don't own a scale.
I was kind of curious as to okay, so like for me, this time of year, it's hot as shit outside. I mean, like it's 10 a.m. It's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's going to stay there until 7-8 o'clock at night. I mean, it's just too hot to go outside and light a fire and forge anything. Even in my shop, oh my gosh, I bought one of them big old portacool, not big, but small portacool evaporative cooler that you hook a water hose up to and all that, and it moves a massive amount of air in my shop at home. But problem being, it's rained not a lot, but just enough, about every 3 or 4 days at home, so that it's constantly been like 80-90% humidity. A portacool doesn't do shit when it's 80 or 90% humidity. It's just blow warm, moist air at you, and it was a complete waste because every time I've gone home, it's hot and it's humid, and it does no good, and so I can't do any forging at home, and I can't go outside and do any forging here outside because it's just too damn hot. I mean, it's miserable. I go outside if I walk out to the pickup to go get something out of the pickup, and by the time I get back inside, I'm spent. I mean, like I was outside for 30, 45 seconds, and it's got me just like, oh my God, that's miserable. So I was wondering how you guys deal with the heat, and how do you work in it? I mean, like, I know, I mean, when I was, a kid, I worked outside all day long in the summertime, and it wasn't no big deal. But I mean, now, I mean, like the thought of being outside for, an hour, I find horrifying. I mean, in the heat. So, how do you guys deal with that? And whatever.
Ignoring it, shade, lots of water, and a whole bunch of grumping. Okay. I've been, it's like this past couple weeks, it's been busting concrete, hauling concrete, concrete and cinder block bits from the porch over at Windfall, climbing around in attics, doing this finishing up this new construction house that doesn't have any AC. And it's been triple digits and high humidity here. It's probably drink at least 2 or 3 gallons of water a day. Stay in the shade when you can. Anytime you get a chance to, hang out in the shade for a minute. Bring a fan with you. I mean, the new construction place we have that we're working on up until Friday hasn't had electricity in it. So I go out to the meter socket, pull all the safety precaution stuff away, and attach an outlet to it and plug in a fan. Because don't do that. I know how. I've made something to allow me to do that. Don't go ripping apart your electrical socket stuff. But yeah, I mean, I did a swamp cooler build on this channel years ago, and it's because we used one in the keys in the kitchen, and I'm like, oh, I'll do it here. It's like, surprisingly, it worked well in the kitchen, but it did not work well in my garage. You know, it didn't. Like, it was too humid here. So yeah, it's like adding a wet blanket to a wet blanket. But
Okay. So as someone who lives in the tropics, right? Even right now, right, which is the middle of dry season, right? And it's what, 1 o'clock in the morning here. It is 17 degrees Celsius outside, which is 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's 66% humidity. So we've never dropped below 50% humidity ever, right? And 17 degrees is considered cold here. Right? The average temperature here is, like, during the day, even this week, and it's the cool season, it's 33 degrees Celsius, which is 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm always working in the heat. Okay. So if it gets to over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 37 degrees Celsius, then that's basically when I start looking at not working out in the workshop. But if I have to, there are a couple of things that I do that mitigates the heat. So first of all, in my current workshop but even when I build my future workshop, at the top, my walls don't go all the way to the top. So there's probably about a half a foot gap between the top of my walls and the ceiling and the roof, so that I get that cross breeze, because heat rises, and as long as you've got somewhere for the heat to go, it's not going to keep it in there. Number two, when I build my new workshop, we'll have what's called a whirlybird. I don't know what you guys call them, but they're a round thing that sits on top of your roof. They are a whirlybird there, okay. But yeah, so I have a whirlybird on top that will allow that heat to escape.
The neat thing about whirlybirds, if I may, because whirlybirds, I thought about putting one on my chimney stack for my forge, but then I realized you don't want it on a chimney stack because you want unrestricted airflow. With a whirlybird, though, it's like it's neat. It's a heat powered fan. Okay. Yep. As the heat rises and the metal itself gets hot and the heat's rising, it starts spinning, which starts sucking air, and it like, until the temperature reduces to a point where it doesn't have enough heat, it's not even air moving, but just the heat convection moving through it, it'll keep running. It'll keep spinning. And that'll you put enough of those on a roof and you can keep a attic nice and chill with no power.
Mm-hmm. And the third thing that I do is, in the event that it does start to get a bit too hot in the workshop, even with the whirlybird, most ceiling fans have two modes, and a lot of people don't realize that. So a lot of people have it set to winter, where it blows the air down, right? And that means you're blowing the hot air from the roof space back into where you're standing. Even though it's moving air, it's still hot. So you can actually flick a switch and which reverses it, and it sucks all the hot air up, which also assists, if you've got a whirlybird, it assists in pushing that hot air into the ceiling and sucking in cooler air from towards the ground. So it actually really works. A lot of people don't realize that there's two modes on your fans, or particularly if you've got a ceiling fan. So if you don't have a ceiling fan, you just have a pedestal fan, set it as low as possible and tilt it upwards so it's sucking in cold air and pushing it up towards you, and that's another method. Of course, there's always the whole, drink lots of water, all that type of thing. I also, particularly when I'm doing and I'm not in my workshop and I'm doing a demonstration or something, it's always hot up here. So I have a bandana that I'll dunk in the water and then tie it around my neck. And of course, with evaporation, that helps keep you cool, because a lot of you've got to inside of your thighs, inside of your arms, and along your neck where your major arteries are. So you can draw heat for your major arteries. You actually feel cooler. And so I just dunk that bandana every half an hour or so, and it helps cool me off. So yeah, there's a couple of ways for you to assist yourself there, Alexis, in the event you need to forge during the heat. And I can see you giggling about something. So
It's just nope. Not touching that one audibly. It's all in the chat.
Okay. I just saw it. It just popped up for me. But yeah, so that's some of the methods that I use. Like I said, because it is consistently. I mean, even 33 degrees is 91 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's consistently here in the 90s, the high 90s, all the time. So I'm always forging the heat of some description.
Yeah,
I walked out the other.
I saw Ben put something about how your sun intensity is crazy. And it's not like the U.S. It is just not where you're from. The closer you get to the equator, the more intense the sun is. I mean, obviously, you're getting closer to it. I mean, by fractions when you really compare the distance of the sun. But my first couple of weeks when I lived in Key West, which is 24 North, it's like coming from the north, from Chicagoland. It was brutal. It was one of the worst sunburns that I've ever had in my life. Like, I mean, to the point of I should probably go see a doctor.
Well,
and it's because the sun is more intense.
Yeah. Well, the sun theoretically is more intense all the way across Australia, but put it this way: Key West is 24 degrees north, right? Darwin, which is only 45 minutes from, or not even 45 minutes from me, right? We're 12 degrees south.
Yeah, so I mean,
so
you're
I'm
a little bit closer.
Again.
Yeah, half the distance closer to the equator, but brings up my point. Although I will say this to defend Ben Tomb's comment, it's like, yeah, with Key West being the southernmost point of continental U.S., and it's still only 24 north. Yeah, I suppose your area where you are is continentally closer to the equator than anywhere in the U.S. Okay, fair point. And Ben also says no, it's with the hole in the ozone layer is over Australia.
It's over Tasmania technically, but yeah. But yes, there is a hole in the ozone layer, but yeah. I mean, Australia is the driest and sunniest continent on the planet. So most of our Australia is desert or at least arid. So you've got desert, you've got arid, you've got semi-arid, then you've got your forests and all that type of thing. So most of our continent is at least arid. Desert, arid, and semi-arid make up the most land. So we don't get a heap of rain, we don't get a heap of cloud cover, all that type of stuff. So that adds to the sun. It's part of the reason why Australia leads the world in solar technology, because we've got that much sun, we may as well use it. So
right.
I wonder.
I tell you what, Iceland is looking more and more attractive the more you keep talking.
But no,
nah, Iceland's too green.
Yeah, but it's those are the tricks that I use. I mean, there is a certain amount of acclimatization to working in the heat, but it's really about say you need to prep yourself, but you've got to be to a certain degree mentally prepared. It's also the reason why I'm very much about stretching, and I'm also very much about the consumption of salt. I hear, through the years we've all heard about, drinking pickle juice and all that type of thing to ensure that you don't cramp and whatnot, and that is very important. But maintaining your salt levels in your diet as a regular thing, particularly when you're working. I've found working here in a tropical climate where you perspire a lot, and that particular thing, I don't call it sweating, I call it perspiring, because my grandmother drilled it into me that horses sweat, humans perspire. But so when you're perspiring a lot and it's really coming out, you are losing a lot of your salts through your perspiration. Ensure that evaporates, but that's why you feel so grainy after a day of hard work. So replacing those salts as part of your diet, and surprisingly, eating breakfast before you go out and work will actually help you keep cooler. It's a weird thing, but eating breakfast because you're preparing your body for a day of work, and therefore you're hydrating yourself, all that type of thing, which allows you to perspire, all that type of thing. Eating breakfast, eating some sort of lunch will actually keep you healthier and keep you able to work, and to a certain degree keep you cooler. Drinking lots of water and all that type of thing whilst you're out working in the heat helps.
Say, I know when I was on blockers, the one we use predominantly here in the States is salt stripping. So it makes it to where your body doesn't retain salts, specifically potassium. But all of them in general, potassium, sodium, calcium, all the various salts, they just don't stick around very long. And so you wind up with these just massive cravings for things salty. Like, whether that's chips or whether that's pickles. I mean, okay, pickles is pretty much the go-to for trans people. I mean, it's just like you go through a gallon jar of pickles in a week, easy, and and that's one of those things that like you don't really think about, but yeah, the salts in your body are so important for maintaining the hydration. You know what I mean? Uh, Too much salt, you retain too much water. Not enough salt, you don't retain enough water. And so replacing those salts is really important, especially if you're on a medication that there's a lot of blood pressure medication that is salt stripping. And so if you take blood pressure medication, you really got to pay attention to that and make sure you keep up with your salts.
Yep.
And find that balance, because if you have high blood pressure, the idea is reduce the amount of salt so you don't have as, you know what I mean. So
Yeah.
so
And
that's definitely something you got to pay attention to, and especially if you're what is it? What's the technical term for high blood pressure?
Hypertension.
Hypertension, especially if you're hypertensive. So
yep.
make
And
sure you pay attention to that.
it's also in my purview, maintaining that decent level of salt is actually very important, because, like I said, I see salt as the oil of the body. It's a lubricant. It's a lubricant in the sense of it prevents your muscle from cramping. And one of my greatest fears, particularly being in a tropical place where I do perspire a lot, is getting a full body cramp. And I've seen it happen to other people. Face to face. Luckily, it's never happened to me. I've only ever had cramping in the arms and the legs, but getting a full body cramp and then face planting into the forge. That is because when your body locks up like that, you physically can't move, and you're in serious pain as it is.
It's happened to me before. It's like getting electrocuted. All your muscles contract or squeeze together. It's happened to me before digging trenches.
Yeah, we in our industry we call that falling out.
Yeah,
and it happens every year. A couple people wind up falling out on location. And it's you reiterate hydrate, and then I remind people you can. It's not just hydration; it's also core body temperature. And a lot of people don't. It doesn't matter how hot it is or how long you're out in the heat. As long as you drink plenty of water, you'll be fine. That's not entirely accurate.
No, you're absolutely right there. It's the body can literally cook itself in its own juices. It's like shit shuts down.
Mm-hmm. And so there's a couple of stages, and this is an important conversation for safety in general. But there's a couple of stages to actually notice. So you've got your heat stroke, which is overheating, and then you've got like cramping is another. You can cramp from heat stroke as well, but cramping is generally a sign of lack of salts. So. But they have similar sort of symptoms. So the first I find is your accuracy. So it's really easy to notice at the anvil if you're swinging and your accuracy starts to get wildly out of whack. You're starting to do some really strange strikes and stuff like that. That's generally the first sign. The second sign is a lot like carbon dioxide poisoning in the sense of you start to get really foggy. And really tired, and it can literally hit you like a wall, and that's generally your second sign that your strikes are getting wild, and you're starting to get tired and foggy in the brain, and that's generally when you start finding most people, if you think about it, particularly as smiths, you'll generally find it's a situation like that where you've grabbed something that is hot. You should have known better. You've burnt yourself because it's like, I should have known better. I grabbed something that was hot, and it's because your brain's foggy. Generally, because you're either lacking salt or you're starting to get heat stroke. And the third is when you start to cramp, because like I said, the symptoms are similar. So one of the things that I've done personally in order to counteract that cramping, particularly when I'm doing a lot of forging work in the heat, is you can buy salt pills, and so they're literally just pressed pills of salt. And I'll if I'm having a major day and or even rock salt. I use Himalayan rock salt now. I don't buy the pills anymore, but I'll get a granule of rock salt and I'll stick it under my tongue whilst I'm drinking water or whatnot, and that helps replenish the salts that I need as I'm going through the day. So that's just one of there are a couple of steps. Of course, you've got to keep your water up. Here where I am, if I'm working actively, they recommend up to 8 liters of water a day if I'm active. Okay. Darwin has the only one of 2 recorded cases of death due to overhydration in the world, and that's because someone here in the Northern Territory was a tourist, but they drank 8 liters of water in a 6-hour period when they were sitting around at home, and they actually ended up unfortunately passing away due to overhydration. But up here, if you're active in the heat and you're perspiring a lot, they do recommend 6 liters of water over the course of the day, and which is a lot of water. That's a gallon.
Dihydrogen monoxide will kill you. Salt tablet.
Yep. Salt pill.
No, it's an individual salt crystals. I have they're full crystals. They make squares, cubes. Mm-hmm. There's one of those things I did where I got some boiling water and saturated it with as much salt as it would possibly hold, and then just let it evaporate, and then add water to it as it on occasion, and the little salt crystals will grow in the bottom, and they grow cute little cubes. And I don't know, I've had these things sitting in this. I grew these like 5 years ago, and they've been sitting in this bowl ever since. And then Adam was talking about like salt tablets or salt rocks, and I was like, oh, I've got salt rocks. But,
yeah.
But I've also polished them. So
as they sticking something like that under your tongue, if you've done 2 or 3 hours worth of forging in high temperatures and particularly high humidity, where you're perspiring a lot, is a great way to maintain your salts. And I find it also stops you from smoke. Like for me, it stops me from smoking as much because I'm doing something with my mouth.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I knew the double entendre there when I said it. So.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's I drink a lot of water because I sweat a lot. Like I mean, anything above 85 degrees, lately, and it's just I'll walk outside and I'll be soaked. If I spend more than 10 minutes outside, like my shirt is just wring it soaked, and it's
You've
like I
you've had heat
I
stroke before, haven't you,
yes
Alway?
I have, yeah.
I have
No.
as well. I've been
Yep.
I've been hospitalized because of it. So
Yep. So
that's why I'm terrified of the heat. I mean, like, I thought I was gonna die. I was in bed for 7 days. It took me 7 days to get over that. And
yep.
for the first 4 of them, I couldn't walk.
Mm.
I to go to the bathroom, I literally crawled on my forearms and my knees, all the way across the house to the bathroom, and it would take me like 5 minutes to make my way up to the commode. It was horrible.
Mm.
Hmm.
Well, see, one of the uh, ongoing symptoms of someone that's had heat stroke, and I learned this after I had it, is that your body automatically overcompensates, so that now when you're exposed to similar heat, you have to actually actively retrain your body to not do it. But as soon as you step out in your heat, your body goes into overdrive and starts perspiring more than you would have before you had heat stroke, because
Hmm.
it's a kind of an autoimmune response to stop you from ever getting heat stroke again, in the sense of we've got to overcompensate this perspiration. So it's especially important if you've had heat stroke to make sure, particularly those that first hour or so, you really keep up the water, because you're perspiring more.
Yeah, no, I'll be sitting working on a
You do
panel,
you
elbows down, hands up, and it's just either side of me is a puddle because it's dripping off my elbows. Like, and I don't mean like, oh, a couple drops. I mean puddle.
Mm.
Got to clean it up with a rag when I'm done.
Yep.
What's up, Black Collar?
You're about to say, Alexis?
it was one of those things that
I'm
timing,
sorry.
timing. I missed. No, it's all right. I missed it. So
Yep. But yeah, so for anyone that heat stroke before who finds now perspiring more when they first go out in the heat, it'll probably take you about 6 months to retrain yourself, to retrain your body, but you can do it. It's just a matter of that first hour or so, you know, be still being in the heat, but making sure you stop, you stand in the shade, spend 5 minutes to cool down, drink a lot of water in that time to maintain your hydration levels, and then you'll find over time your body starts to acclimatize itself, um, to stop that body's overreaction to the heat, in the sense of that heat perspiring. And you've got, like I said, it takes about 6 months, because your body, you've basically got to train your immune response to go, okay, I'm not going to overheat in this first hour. I can drink more water, and your body gets back, it gradients back into being able to not perspire and as much. You go in that first hour or so, and then it gets back to an equilibrium. But and most people, most people who've had heat stroke, if you think about it, you didn't used to sweat this much or perspire this much when you first got into the heat, and that's because of that immune response after you've had a heat stroke.
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
the nutso thing. Like when I was in the Keys, I was working in kitchens where it was average 150 degrees, and like I don't remember sweating this much. And like I'd go out triple digits to cool off. I'd go out in 100-degree weather to cool off. Um,
Yep.
and then like when I moved up here in October, and we had a nasty winter, and it was like okay, back to winter. And then that summer, the following summer, after I moved up here, it was just I couldn't handle the heat, and I'm like, this is nothing. This is 90s, you know.
Yep. Black collar actually makes a really good statement too. You also have to be careful of the temperature of liquids you're drinking when you're overheating, and that's very true. Now it's really funny. I don't know how many of you guys have ever had much interaction with we call them PE, physical education teachers. I think you guys call them gym teachers over there, right?
Yeah.
But at least 70 to 80% of gym teachers or PE teachers I've ever met drink hot water, or nearly not like not boiling water, but hot water. That's their, everyone's having tea or coffee, or they will drink hot water. Hot water will actually absorb into your body faster because your body doesn't have to bring it up. The inside, your internal temperature is generally around 40 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Your internal temperature. So your body will actually. Okay.
I say every gym teacher I've ever known's got a Dasani bottle full of vodka. It's the only way you can handle those little shit.
Water. Gym teachers don't drink water.
But so the most effective way to hydrate yourself is actually drinking hot water, warm water for hydration when you're perspiring is better than cold water. Cold water actually expends more energy, and cold water can actually shock your insides, particularly if you're overheating. The best thing to do is actually drink room temperature or ambient temperature water, because that will absorb into your body faster. Hot water is not good because it's only adding to the heat in your body when you're overheating, and cold water is not good because it can actually shock your body. So
what we do, we've got a 5-gallon drink cooler with a spigot on it. We fill that with ice and water and everything, and then we toss our teas and pouch pickles and whatnot in it. And so
basically the water you're drinking's had everybody's hands in it too. Dishing out their drinks, dishing out their pickles, after they've had their hand on their junk and all that, and it's just like now. When we back in the day when we used to have water cans on the trucks, almost every driver was adamant that not a damn thing goes in that water can except for ice or water. Nobody's hands goes in it. Nobody's cans go in it. Nobody's lunch goes in it. It's just ice and water.
Ice water is great for keeping yourself refreshed and keeping yourself if you're already hydrated and keeping yourself refreshed and stuff like that, ice water is great, right? But if you're working hard and you're perspiring, you want ambient temperature water.
You didn't let me finish.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Continue.
And what we would do is we would use that to fill our water, okay, and it's so hot out, it gets hot just sitting there. But we'd also use that, rinse our hands off, rinse our headbands and whatnot off, so we have nice cool and then drink the water as it warms up.
Yeah, no, and
but I'll suck on somebody's fingers. I don't care about drinking what they, drinking out of a cooler that they put their hands in. I'll suck on a motherfucker's fingers. Wait, we're live. Never mind.
End with that. No, I was gonna say, cold water. Leading up to working or whatever, cold water it removes heat from the body. So there's that, because your body has to warm it up. Well, it doesn't have to, but it does, and so that does help keep your core body temperature a little bit cooler, because that cold water is absorbing some of those calories, and but once you get to a certain point, that is less important than not shocking your system. So,
yep. So apparently it's also Ed Brazil's birthday today. So happy birthday, Ed!
I saw that on Facebook.
Happy birthday, Ed!
But
happy birthday, Ed!
So these are very important lessons in maintaining hydration and your health in the forge. But bringing it all the way back to Alexis' original question, those are some of the methods that I use in order to keep cool while I'm forging in ridiculous heat. But like I said, once it gets over about 100, once it starts getting about over 37 degrees or 100 degrees Fahrenheit, then I start going, do I need to do this? If it gets over 104, which is 40 degrees Celsius, I kind of go, nah. It's too hot. I'll stay in my air conditioning. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So did that was my idea for something to banter about. Did anybody else have anything they wanted to cover?
Can I add something about the heat stroke stuff?
Sure.
If the water is too cold, you can always keep it in your mouth and it can warm it up, and also cool yourself down.
That is
That's
true.
fair. And that way it's not shocking the internals.
But
Yes.
but then I'm drinking mouth water. Ugh. I don't know about you, but my mouth is disgusting. No, I'm just kidding.
Yamez, but you're pretty good at holding stuff in your mouth for long periods of time. So
True that.
On that same strain though, if you have the cold water in order to hold in your mouth, I would also wet down something, because again, like I was saying, one of the main arteries in the body is a carotid, which runs up your side of your throat, and that can help bring your body temperature down by having something cold on your neck, on the back of your neck. It'll help draw out the heat from your system. Having something cold on your head, and also if you have access to it, cold water on your feet, because the two main areas where your body loses heat the fastest is the head and the feet. So if you can get cold water on your head and cold water on your feet, or cold water on your neck, whilst of course absorbing that water through drinking, and if you've only got cold water, then keeping it warm in your mouth is warming it up in your mouth is a good idea as well, because that also helps avoid dumping water into your system, because dumping water in your system when you're hydrated is a bad idea. It's better off sitting it, your body absorb it. So yeah, those are really good actions. But if you're at that point, it's too late to a certain degree. You should have been managing it better beforehand. But we all have situations where we're kind of focused somewhere else, or where we're hyper focused on something and we lose track of what we're doing. So those are late measures. But doing some of those measures in the process, again, keeping a bandana or a neck, some sort of neck adornment, which is cold, helps keep your body heat down, helps stave off that heat exhaustion for a longer period of time, as well as maintaining that hydration by drinking lots of water. So yeah, and it's also very important, and actually Yamez kind of brought this up in the sense that he worked in hot kitchens in Key West and then moved to the Carolinas. If you move from somewhere warm to somewhere cold, you are actually more susceptible to heat stroke, because your body's used to working in hot heat, or in a higher heat, or a higher ambient temperature. So you think you don't need to consume as much water when you're working. So if you move to a colder climate and stuff like that and don't consume as much water, you're more susceptible to cramps and heat stroke. So that would probably be the reason why you found it so shocking when you moved to the Carolinas there, Yamez, even though you're used to higher temperatures.
Yeah, that, and I drank a lot of alcohol in the Keys.
So yeah.
Also, can I add a little bit more?
Mm-hmm.
Air conditioning, like really low air conditioning levels, can mess your system up. When I was in the masonry field, my when I was coming home, my parents were always having the air conditioning down, and it was like 90 degrees plus when it was out there, and you can never get your acclimation right.
Mm.
So it's something you have to keep in mind as well.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, and it's funny. I've actually learned from mainly a lot of you guys that your air conditioning gets set to like the lowest my air conditioning goes. The absolute lowest is 19 degrees, right? Or 18 degrees, I think. 18 degrees, which is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the lowest my air conditioning can physically go to. I can't get any cooler than that.
Cold. Like, why would you?
That's
Yeah.
the bottom line. That's the bottom of mine as well.
Okay, cool.
Now, what a lot of people don't, surprisingly, a lot of people think that the temperature you set your air conditioner at is the temperature of the air coming out of the vents, and that's not the case. I mean, like literally, my daughter's husband thinks that if you set it cooler, it'll be colder air coming out, and no, the air comes out of the vents at 57 degrees. It doesn't matter what your thing is set at.
It's when it stops.
53 if you're on R12, but the newer stuff is it's 57, and I mean it's the temperature your thermostat at is where it shuts off.
See, for energy reasons, and also for that acclimatization issue that was just mentioned, my air conditioners here are set to at the lowest 24 degrees, which is 75 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's
because
normal.
That's also the best, like that or above, like 25, 26, is cool enough for your body to notice the difference and be comfortable. But also it's actually conserves power better because your air conditioner isn't trying to constantly cool. It's not constantly on cool. It'll cycle on and off. But it's not trying to force that temperature down, particularly when you have a high outside ambient temperature. It's only dropping it by a couple of degrees. And the actual best thing to do is, for example, if it's 30 degrees outside, which is 86 degrees Fahrenheit, if you drop your if you have your air conditioner on inside to 28 degrees Celsius or 82 degrees Fahrenheit, you will physically notice that difference and still feel cool. You'll still feel very cool. And that will save you on energy bills too, which will make things cheaper for you.
See, mine in my little donut carton in the garage, it's 4 foot by 8 foot, right? Styrofoam. And my little the smallest, cheapest window unit you can get. I mean, I think I bought it for like $129 last year or whatever. It cools that room down to 64 degrees in about 15 minutes. And then once it cools it down, it'll sit there and cycle. I don't keep it at 64. I can, but I keep it at 72. My house AC is set at like 75, but in the summertime, it'll run all day and never get it below 85 in the house. It just, and it's the largest unit you can. That's like made for the mobile home or whatever. It's just the 1981 insulation isn't good enough to keep the heat from just soaking through. And so, it's 85 degrees. And don't get me wrong. I mean, like you go outside and do something for 10 minutes and you come inside and it's 85 inside. It feels pretty damn good. But once you've been inside for an hour, you're like, fuck, it's hot in here. What the hell?
Yep. But see, and that comes back to what I was saying about cycling, particularly if you've had a heat stroke, cycling your heat tolerance. If you go inside after being outside and it's lovely and cool, if you've got it set at 82 or whatnot, and you start to feel hot, go back outside. Because that will, and drink some water, go back outside, reacclimatize yourself to that heat, and then go back inside and you'll feel cool again. Another one that's really counterintuitive as well, right, is have a hot shower.
Oh, yeah.
That helps it actually, that tricks your brain into feeling cool as well.
True.
Funny thing about that,
I literally told my daughter that on Monday. She's like, "Oh, it's so hot in here. I hate that there's nothing we can do about it." I was like, "Yes, there is. Go outside. Go, go mow the yard for 5-10 minutes. Come back inside. You'll love it in here."
Yeah.
Yep.
When I was the last place I lived in the Keys didn't have a hot water heater because
I had a cold water heater though.
well, it didn't have a water heater, Dick. It didn't have a water heater.
We had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, Yamas. You should have known better than say hot water heater.
But it didn't have a water heater. It had the water coming out the tap. The coldest it would get is 80 degrees out the tap, because all the pipes down there are like either along the surface or just a few inches underground, and they heat up. Like the first place that I lived in, it came out the water meter and then just ran across the ground. I had to weed it around the water main, coming into the house. So it's like it's heated water coming into the building. So there's no cold shower.
Here's an interesting one for you. So this is going more into the homesteading space, right? But where I grew up, right, we moved to our property and built our house when I was about 10, and I lived there until I was 16, 17, right? And we never had a water heater for that entire time, right? Our water heater, because it's so sunny here in Australia and where I am, that we had about 50 meters, and I think that's about 100 yards. About 50 yards. Yeah, a yard is similar to a meter, right? Which is about 150 feet of black poly pipe on our roof.
That's what I wanted to do for mine, was put a 300-foot section or 100-foot section of 1-inch black poly in the middle of my water line, my cold water line going into the water heater, and just have that up on the roof, and that way the sun would preheat the water going into the water heater, thus saving when you use it, it's actually hot water going into the water heater, and it doesn't even
it would
on.
Then be a hot water heater.
Yes, it would.
So you could suck the dingleberries right off my freaking toes.
I couldn't do that all the time though, because in the wintertime when it's below freezing outside, I'd be hosed.
Yep. But here, we get sun all, we don't get freezing temperatures. But yeah, here's a cultural thing that I didn't realize until this week. Okay. So on average in Australia, because we are such a dry continent, okay, it's culturally and socially normal to shower once a day. All right. And there are, in certain parts of Australia, you would literally run a bath and more than one person, or run a shallow bath, and more than one person would actually use that bath water. Okay. Now I know that sounds gross and all that type of thing, but you've got to remember that we are the driest continent in the world, and we regularly have multi-year droughts. Okay. So I think the last drought that we had in Queensland was 7 years. So, and that only broke like 2 years ago, and now they're in another drought. So we regularly have drought. So it's culturally and normally acceptable to have one shower a day here. And you're extravagant if you have two, right? If you have a shower in the morning, a shower in the evening, you're extravagant. You shower twice a day. That's, you're fancy, right? I recently found out in Korea, it's normal to have, South Korea, it's normal to have up to 4 showers a day. So, and I was actually having this conversation with, it was part of our conversation after the fact 2 weeks ago, a fortnight ago with Alexis. We're talking about, Alexis you like to shower, 2 to 3 times a day, if I remember correctly.
I try to, I shower at least once a day.
Yeah.
And I shower whenever possible. I shower after using the restroom. And so sometimes that's twice a day, sometimes it's 3 times, but at least once. Once is once is mandatory. I can't.
Yeah.
If I don't, I can smell me, and if I can smell me, it doesn't mean other people can yet, but it's getting pretty close.
Yeah. see, culturally, like I said, only showering once a day is the norm here, right? No one, and normally, like for me, I shower at the end of my day, right? So that I can go to sleep nice and clean, all that type of thing, right? I'll shower after the gym, or I'll shower when I get home from work and stuff like that. I do know people who do it first thing in the morning, but like I said, so that's a cultural difference on just because of the amount of water. Yes, Yamas.
Right, and see
What's a shower?
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I'm climbing into bed and there's somebody else in that bed with me, I'm going to shower before I go to bed. But if not, it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
If I'm climbing into bed and there's going to be somebody in the bed with me, they're taking a shower with me.
It's going to be Ben.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, got to make sure they wash their ass too.
Right. No, my problem is with my problem in that regard is with people that think it's acceptable to shower every 3 or 4 days. That is, I mean, like, what the hell, man?
Now I can see not washing your hair. I can see not washing your hair, but every 3 or 4 days. But like using shampoo and stuff. But showering every day. I shower before I go to bed.
I know people that like shower a couple times a week, and it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, people can smell you from like 10 feet away, right?
And see, that's
I can't smell me, so it's good.
That's that. And look, I'll admit, when I was living and working out bush, because there has been a period in my life where I worked remote, on road crews and stuff like that. We didn't have access to running water. All right, we had access to drinking water, and that was limited because, again, we're in a desert, so we might go 4 or 5 days working, and it was gross. It was by the end of it, you just feel your skin crawls. But it was normal to go 4 or 5 days without showering because you didn't have a choice, right? It really was, and you don't want to use the water that goes into the restrooms that we have was non-potable, and looking in those, having had to refill those tanks and looking into them, you really didn't want that water anywhere near your face or body. So it was kind of like, yeah, okay, it was kind of a choice between risking catching something or not showering for a couple of days. So I admit, I've had periods in my life where I've gone several days without a shower, but I also have rather I have rather positive BO, so I also know if I can start to smell me, I am rancid to everyone around me.
Right.
So yeah.
But anyway, we went from keeping hydrated to bath time with Yamas.
I don't want bath time with Yamas.
Tub time with Yamas, come on.
Tub time with Yamas. Let's move this party, all right?
We need to fill that time that used to be my show. Come on.
I will say I have to run to the store. I have not a thing to eat here, and I had thought about that thing that we had discussed before the show, and I'm like, you know what? I am not going to get to the point where I can't drive, and then sit here and have nothing to munch on. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do that. So, I'm all packed and ready to go, but
maybe next time.
I'm all packed and ready to go, but I need to get some,
all loaded up. Our
necessities.
Snacks.
Yeah, got to get some necessities before that trip.
So yeah. All right. So, well, on that note, let's move to final thoughts. I'll kick it off, right? Because there's a couple of comments. So yes, showers are hydrating too. And don't forget that alcohol is actually dehydrating.
No.
And
It's a liquid.
Nope.
It's a
My
liquid.
beer is 95% water, damn it.
It's a liquid.
alcohol is also dehydrating.
It's a liquid.
Ethanol
5% dehydrating, 95% hydrating. I mean, come on, it's just math, people.
Right. So try and avoid drinking too much if you're out there working in your workshop. I know I know for some people it's refreshing, but save it to the end. You know, you can once you put the hammers down, you can always sit out there and chinwag and have a few drinks. But you know, for safety and for hydration purposes and for your benefit, your overall health, just drink water and save the beers for the end of the day. Keep hydrated and enjoy yourself, and have a good fortnight. Alexis, on to you.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. Honestly, that's a weird thing that I don't miss about my putting a pause on the alcohol consumption thing there, by and large, is the just because I know for a while there I'd go out to the shop and work, and it'd just be a Miller Lite followed by a Miller Lite followed by a Miller Lite over and over and over again until I couldn't hit what the hell I was trying to hit, and I burn myself, and I go, oh, I'm a little too fucked up to be doing this still. Time to shut the fire off. And then I kind of switched it up to a beer and a water, a beer and a water, and a beer and a water. And now it's just water. I mean, I don't and honestly, I mean, it's like I thought it would be weird not working in the shop and drinking beer, but it's actually not. Because now I still have beer, and I look at it and I'm like, no, not feeling it. And that's so weird. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I never thought I would get to that point where I would have an ice cold beer ready and be like, I think I'll just have a water. Like, what the hell's wrong with me? This isn't right. What did you do with Alexis? Bring her back. Anyways, y'all be careful out in the heat. It can definitely sneak up on you. You think everything's good, and then all of a sudden, like that, it's not good.
Absolutely.
And it's happened to me more times than I can count, where I've just been working long, and I'm just like, oh shit, I got to stop right now. And I mean, like, it's not even something that I go, oh well, I'm getting there. Oh well, I'm getting there. I was fine, and then I wasn't fine. And so be cognizant of that it can happen that quick. And so, well, it actually doesn't happen that quick. You just don't notice it until it happens. And so be careful out there. Stay hydrated. Be mindful of your core body temperature. Take breaks off. And, have fun and be safe. We'll see you guys in a fortnight. And, that's all I got. Yamas, how about you?
Just touching on the same, be safe. It's freaking hot out. And, yeah, I got a guy that works with me that, like, he's, older gentleman and getting ready to go in for wrist surgery tomorrow or Tuesday. And it's like, he's trying to work he's like trying to prove something. It's like, dude, take a break. And at the end of every day, he's like, oh, I worked too hard. It's like, yeah, take a break. It's all good. Don't be embarrassed to take a break. Nobody's sitting here going, oh, yeah. It's cheaper to take a break than it is to pay for an ambulance. Because you overworked yourself. So take a break. With that, thank you all for showing up. Thank you all for supporting us. We appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and let's get back to work. Break's over.
Yeah, I hear that on the Langenkugel Summer Shandy there, Jack. Those are tasty. Haven't been able to find them all year here, and I don't know why.
And if you're working with someone else, watch out for each other.
Good point.
That's it.
And if somebody that you're working with tells you to take a break, take a break.
You're more likely to notice somebody's a bit off than they are.
Oh, I'm a bit off. With that, guys, have a great day. We're going to go ahead and call it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I'll miss you all.